Hi, I'm Seth, and today we're going to be learning about getting our model into Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or any Source game for the matter that supports custom models and mapping. So, first off, we're going to need a few things. We're going to, of course, need Blender. Latest version here is 2.91. We're going to need the add-on for Blender called SourceOps, made by Bongiorno. And we're going to need VMT Editor. This is for quick and easy creating of materials, and it's also just really useful. You don't have to write your materials by hand. It's just, I think it's a necessity, really. Anyway, let's get started. So, I assume you know how to use Blender. This isn't going to be a Blender tutorial. I'm just going to make a quick model and show how to get that in the game with a material on it and everything. But if you haven't used Blender, I guess it's a good way to start modeling for a game. Anyway, to install that add-on, SourceOps, you go to Edit, Preferences, and then that'll open up the Preferences menu. You can go to Add-ons, and at the top right there is an Install button. When you download this, if you go to Releases here, here's the latest release. You want to download SourceOps, not source code. SourceOps, or just not the source code. All right. And then you just install the zip. You just when you click install, you select the zip that it gives you. I don't know if I have any add-ons to quickly install, but whatever. That's all you do. Next up is we have to configure SourceOps. So I already have mine configured here. I guess I'll reconfigure it. So this is how it starts up. If you go to the SourceOps tab in the N menu, when you click N, it'll bring this up. You have just a blank panel here. We're going to click this plus button up here to add a game. I'm going to name this CSGO because I'm mapping for CSGO. And you may think there's a lot to set up, but you just need to get the game info.txt. So on game, click the folder icon and go to your Steam folder where all your games are located. So program files 86. So hold on. We'll go to, what's it called? Am I blind? Okay, yep. So go to your C drive. Go to, I'm blind again. Program files 86. Steam. Steam apps. I need to go in ABC order. Steam apps, common, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO, and this is where the game info is at. If we scroll down, I'll go into a list real quick. If we scroll down, we'll see game info, and that's what we want. We're selecting the folder that holds the game info.txt. And when we do that, everything will be set up for us. It'll create model source and map source folders. If you want to change these, you can. That's why it's here. Say you're collaborating with people on a map and you want to compile models directly to that folder. We can change the models folder here to whatever folder we want to move it to. And that's all you have to do to set it up. And now we just need a model to import. So why not a monkey? This I don't have a model prepared, but here we have a monkey. So one thing to note is that we this is going to be really small. This is what, like around 3 meters long and wide. That is very small. Compared to a CSGO player, it's going to be like right there. He's going to stand very tall. So I guess a good starting point would be to just scale your model or have it scaled to what you want it to be. So this helped me when I was starting out, figuring out how big something should be. I've recently just started. Actually, no, I still import stuff. I still import brush geometry every now and then, but I've learned that 1-to-1 Blender and Hammer are the same size. So this right here, this will be 2.73 units in Hammer, and it just matches up directly. But actually, envisioning it for the prop that you're making, it's easier to actually have that geometry, which you will if you're blocking out your level. Here we have this. Say we want the monkey to be, let's go 64 units. So we have a quick box here. Obviously, you can export much more complex geometry that you made in Hammer, but I just have a cube because I don't actually have a model prepared. But if we go to File, Export to DXF, and we could just export this to our desktop. So I'm going to name this Monkey Ref. Alright, and that'll save a DXF. So we can open up that DXF by also enabling another add-on. In the add-ons menu again, if we search up DXF, it'll be Import AutoCAD DXF format, not the one with the whatever this is under construction. So this is like a new version. Okay, yeah, that's a new version. This one works fine, which is what I've been using. So we can do File, Import, DXF. We can go to our desktop and select the DXF file. I don't know why it doesn't filter it automatically. Unit scale 1, yep. I've never touched any of these settings, so you're probably good. Now I wonder. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Alright, so we can just import that. This is how big we want our monkey to be. We can see that, yeah, that monkey was really small. So, yeah, that's how you get Hammer geometry. Another thing is you can, if you want, you can use this geometry to the complete modeling, or you can use this geometry to keep modeling, but I don't recommend it unless you know what you're doing. So right there, I just untriangulated it, and also the faces are flipped, which it'll look like this if you're looking around in Hammer, or it'll look like this. This is what the model would look like if your faces were flipped. You wouldn't see the back side of this face right here, because it's just model stuff. Alright, so the way we fix that is we go to Alt-N, and we could do recalculate outside. Shift-N. It's just Shift-N? Okay, cool. I didn't know that. So now our normals are fixed, and we can scale our model up to fit this. So I'm just going to fit it to a rough size. One thing I also like to do with my reference geometry is to make it show up as a wireframe. So in the object properties here, viewport display as wired. So now I can see, I don't need to care about the shape because this doesn't actually matter. So, you know, I'd say that's a pretty good starting point. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's cool. That seems good. One thing to do is we also need to worry about scale. So there I scaled it up in object mode, which means the scale actually changed here. We could do Control A and do scale. Also, if our object is rotated, that also gets affected. So if you also have rotation, I also recommend doing rotation and scale. So now this is 1-to-1. This is how it will be when it exports. We can delete our reference, or we can save it for later. I guess I'll save it for later. I'll just leave it in scene collection. Now in SourceOps is where we actually start. So right here, after we've set up everything, we can click the plus button to add a new model. This model is going to be called tutorial / monkey. So these are folders. Okay, so the last string here is a model, the model name. So models are always relative to the models folder. So what this is actually doing is going to the CSGO models tutorial folder, and it's going to be making the monkey.mdl file. So the tutorial folder is in the models folder. We don't actually specify that. If we were to, it would actually look like CSGO model or CSGO models tutorial monkey.mdl, which we don't want. We just do the folder after models. So tutorial / monkey. Another thing is we need to put this in its own collection. So press M, new collection. I'll name this monkey. And then we can select it here. Another thing is collision models are really useful. So if we want to make a collision model for this, we need to make it up of convex objects. So I guess I'll try and do that real quick here. Monkey _ fizz. Holding control and pressing the I button will hide everything but that collection. And now we can split this up and try and do a collision model. So if we were to do a collision model right now, this is how it would look in Source roughly. It'll shrink wrap to it, which is probably fine. But if we want to be able to shoot through it, like right here, we wouldn't do. We would be hitting an invisible block area. So we can kind of split it up here. We're trying to split it up. That seems pretty good. I'm going to do split. I'm going to do the same for the ear here. Split. There we go. And I will do the same for the mouth here, this mouthpiece here. Split. The rest I don't all that much care about. If I wanted to make more detailed, I'd go better on it. But really that's all we need. So now we just do shade smooth. And hopefully it works. It should. The way we did that, it's kind of a bit weird. I'm just going to test it out again because I've had it work numerous times. So we set the collision model, monkey _ fizz. And now we set up some other things. So I want it to be a static prop. Let's make it sound like a paint can. The material folder is where the material lays. So since this is a model, we usually make a models folder in the materials folder. So again, it's kind of like the model, except a tiny bit different. So here, we're going to be putting the material in the models folder. Models, tutorial, monkey. So this is going in the monkey folder. That's in the tutorial folder. That's in the models tutorial, or in the models folder. That's in the materials folder. So materials, models, tutorial, monkey. This is where all the monkey's textures will be stored at. If we go here to the material tab, we can create a new material on our reference geometry here. I'm going to hide the collision model for right now. So here we have our reference geometry. This is what the player sees. Create a new material, and I'm just going to call this monkey. Now that we're done, we can go ahead and export and see how our model went. So we click this car button. This will automatically do SMD, QC, MDL. You'll learn about that later, but for right now, the SMD is the raw files that is seen by the model compiler. The QC is what specifies the paths for the compiler, and MDL is what compiles the model. The car button just does all of that in one button click. So now we can click this Half-Life Model Viewer button, and that'll open up our game's Half-Life Model Viewer. If it doesn't work, you might have set your stuff up here incorrectly. Now, one thing we can see is that we don't actually have a material, and that's because we didn't make one. But we do have our object in here. Let's check out our collision model. It did exactly what I wanted, actually. It's kind of a bit weird. It generated collisions for the eyes, so that's not really what I want. I'm going to go ahead and edit my collision model. I'm going to delete those eyes, and I'm going to convex hull it with Blender's built-in convex hull tool. Then I'll do, I don't know, decimate, try and loosen up that geometry a little bit, make it cleaner if I can. Sure, that seems good enough. I'll do convex hull again just in case. Convex hull on that. Shift R to repeat that action. That doesn't actually work. Okay. And now this is the exact thing you should be able to see. So I'll export again. Make sure you shade smooth again. Your collision models do have to be shaded smooth for whatever reason. I'm not actually sure. If we go back to Half-Life Model Viewer, we can see it hasn't actually changed. So if we press F5, we can see it be updated. Now, I'm not actually sure what's the deal with, oh, you know what? Okay, that's the model. Okay, that's fine. That's just Z-fighting with the model itself. So that's cool. We got it done. We got our model in the game, but we don't actually see a material, and that's because we haven't created one yet. So if we open up VMT editor here, and we select our game, so for me it's Counter-Strike Global Offensive. If your game isn't listed here, you can go to Manage Games and add one. Oh, and I guess the scan button would also scan for any new games you've downloaded. So try that out maybe. Now, since this is a model, we need to select the right shader. The VMT editor, it has preset buttons here. So we have brush, blend, model, and onlit. We want a model, which will be the vertex lit generic shader. Make sure you keep an eye on this. Make sure you select the right shader, because light mapped will not work on models, and vertex lit won't work on brushes. So we want a model, so we select the model shader, and we need the texture that's going to be applied to this. So if we click browse, I'm going to go ahead and select some textures I've already made. You can save these wherever you want. Let's have a orange monkey. That sounds cool. And now we just have to save this. So if we go back here, we have our material called monkey. So that's what we're going to save this as. We're going to go to File, Save As, and then we're going to go to the path that we set. So the path we set was Materials, Models, Tutorial, Monkey, and then the material name is called monkey.vmt. So we just put in monkey. Now that it's done, we could go ahead and refresh model viewer. I'm going to disable the collision model real quick. So F5, and we go to textured here. We can see we have our monkey now. I can go ahead to hammer. It should be updated. If it isn't, oh well, we'll find out here in a second. Create a prop static, and we'll search monkey. Tutorial monkey right here. That's awesome. That's sick. Look at that. Again, make sure you keep an eye on your scalings. So if I were to have 2.530 on the x-axis and export it, it'll be scaled like that, which, yeah, I guess that's fine. I think SourceOps might be forgiving on that. Just a tiny bit. Another thing is, if we want our model like somewhere out here, and we don't want it to compile at, or if we don't want the origin at the center of the world, we can go up here to the what's this panel called? Just model options. We can go up here to the model options and do ignore transforms. So, okay, actually, I'll show you what it looks like when it's not enabled. So if we were to compile it like this, our model will be over there, but the origin would be right here. This is where the origin is at of the model. So, which means it will be rotating at the center of that cube over there. That's not what we want, unless it is what you want. But for me, it's not. So go back to Blender, and if we enable ignore transforms and compile our model again, we can see that our model is compiled at the center of the object. So that's awesome. That's about it. You'll learn on the way. The creator of SourceOps has a Discord server for SourceOps, so if you need further help, a link to that will be in the description, along with every single tool I used here today. Yeah, thank you for watching.